This week on Gymwright Live, we welcome back to the show our very own Jessica Depatie for a step-by-step walkthrough of a full, ready-to-implement campaign that will get you top-shelf testimonials for you to use in your gym's marketing. Before we get into that, I'd like to give a warm thank you to our Sitewright.io as our official sponsor for this show. Every gym owner deserves a great website, and now there is no excuse not to have one. Upgrade your online presence by going to Sitewright.io. All right, let's get this party started. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Gymwright Live. I am your host, Marcus Gurzy, and this week we welcome back to the show special guest and Gymwright marketing superhero, the one and only Jessica Depatie. Jessica manages all of the marketing for us here at Gymwright, as well as helps develop and build a lot of the juiciest tools and campaigns that we get to provide the gym owners that we work with. Jessica, such a pleasure to have you back on today. Welcome to the show.
Marcus Gurzy, let's do an interview. Woo-hoo.
Let's have some fun. All right, so I'm excited to get into today's show because you are going to walk us through something that you've seen a ton of success with in our private group, the network, in helping gym owners gather testimonials. We'll get into all that, or before we get into all that, why are testimonials so important to a gym's marketing strategy?
Yeah, so great question. Let me start off with a little bit of a story here. As a fitness marketer, I care almost obsessively over the quality of copy, over visuals. I pour my heart into creating good content because I believe really like that attention to detail makes the most impact. And this dedication to detail that we have at Gymwright, that can get some gym owners that we don't work with, who are non-marketers, they can get a little bit squirrely about that because they don't have the time nor necessarily the want to do any of that on their own. But here's the thing, marketers like me also understand the hard truth about what we do, that ultimately, no matter how much effort I put into building and refining a marketing strategy, something else will always have like a little bit of a leg up and a bigger impact on getting more people to your gym. And that's word of mouth marketing, which I know we've said is not a strategy because like when you don't do it right, it's really not a strategy at all. It's a pretty loosey-goosey kind of way of managing your lead flow. But when you do it right, there's that one voice that speaks louder than any Facebook Live like we're doing now, or any blog post or any ad that inspires people to become a member of your gym. And that's the voice of your current customers, right?
100%. I think, you're right. We've mentioned it many times is like, this is not a strategy, right? Word of mouth marketing is not a strategy. I think it's the litmus test. It is the proof that you're doing it right. If you get your people buzzing about it and they are telling friends and family and you have legitimate raving fans as clients, that is the proof that you are doing it right. If they are not doing that, if you're like, oh, we don't get many referrals, people aren't buzzing, that means everything else is not working. I don't care how technically sound you might be, it's not transferring, right? So we want to make sure we can do that. And what you've got here today is a process that we can do to help gather that stuff and draw that stuff out, right?
Exactly. People today are more informed than ever before. And I think we've said this on the show a few times, but they have almost limitless options to get fit at their disposal. And another thing I don't know we've talked about is how people are really, really in tune with how businesses actually treat their customers. It's like a sixth sense that people have now. And with that, potential new members care less about what you have to say about yourself and more than ever about what your current members have to say about you. And I also want to mention, it's not to say that all that other stuff isn't important, because I mean, it really is. If you're looking for really substantial growth, or you're in a tough region or a tough demographic, you do have to like have a pretty amazing website and a great story. But if you did have to choose one thing to make the biggest impact on your marketing, it would be getting great testimonials and then putting those on your social media and your website. Like back in 2010, I was finding myself to be a brand new marketer at the top of the game, which almost never happens these days, because I was lucky enough to come right out of university with that degree in journalism and writing and find that new methodology of internet marketing called inbound marketing. And this is when that vast majority of businesses and marketers were just focusing on mass media or advertising. And all I would need to do for businesses that hired me, and maybe some gym owners can relate to this back in the early 2010s, was all you need to do is write a couple blogs, right? Like craft some beautiful emails and share that content on social media. It was really simple, and it was almost too simple. And I kind of knew that bubble would burst one day. And at this point it sort of has, but luckily there's a workaround, right? Like the internet has become crowded, and this overwhelm with the amount of sort of blog content, people just start tuning it out like they're commercials now, right? Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, you also notice that social media growth level isn't what it used to be. You used to be able to put out one ad and be like, boom, that lasted for 3 years. And like simply having a Facebook page and keeping it updated with content, that was enough back then. But today it's so much more of a challenge to make a real impact on people. In addition, like cost of acquisition of a new member has gone through the roof in the last 10 years. I mean, just the other day, you were telling me that Facebook made an announcement saying that promotional broadcasts via Facebook Messenger, which to us for now is pretty much free, like with the right software, mm-hmm. will cost what, like 3 cents per person that you send it to?
Right. It's bananas.
It's crazy. So I'll have to say, like, there will always be your secret weapon that'll future-proof all marketing for gyms moving forward. I have a hard time imagining that this will go out of style, but that's that happy member or that happy customer. I guess what we can do. Oh, go ahead.
No, go finish your thought.
Well, I was just going to get into how we can do that, but if you want to add on to that.
Yeah, just to kind of stack on top of that, I don't think that will ever go out of style. How can getting your clients great results and having them be overwhelmed with value go out of style? It can't. That's what the service business is all about, right? All these other things are just methods or tools or tactics and things that we can use to amplify that or to get it in front of the right people, and all of these different things when it comes to marketing and selling and all that. But at the end of the day, if you are able to get your clients great results to the point to where they're buzzing about it, and you're able to take that and put that in front of other people that are like them, that's the whole formula. That's all you need to know. If you just do that, that is timeless. Now, whether that's on Facebook or on Snapchat or on an Instagram TV, those things will change and evolve and be constantly moving targets. But the concept of just knock it out of the park, get them to talk about it, and then take that and show that to other people to say, look, here's what we do. Here's examples of other people like you getting what you want. End of story. That's the whole trick. And if you can just do that consistently, you can win the game. And whatever tools you're using or whatever is in vogue at the moment around social media platforms or ad campaigns or whatever it is, that's just whatever the flavor of the day is. But that core concept is timeless. So that said,
absolutely.
Walk us through how we can go about doing this. So what's the best way to get well-written testimonials?
Cool. So I would say like the worst way is to just wait around for an email to come through. And I know that I've been guilty of that. Like how do I ask for a testimonial in a way that's not thirsty sounding?
Thirsty sounding.
Right. I don't know, like desperate. So what I created here for the gym owners in the network, we did this a couple months ago and it went really well. The gym owners that participated in it were really surprised at the response, how quickly they were able to get this survey filled out by their members. So I wanted to really just announce it to more people in the network, and then any gym owners who aren't a part of the network, you guys can go in there and see how this works. But here's the general situation here. What we have is a Google form that you can send to your entire gym. So all you need to do is go to gymwright.com/survey to download it. And then with that download, you're also going to get swipe files of emails and posts that you can put into your gym's Facebook group. That'll encourage your members to fill out the survey, because it's one thing to have a survey. It's another thing to get people to actually fill it out.
Right.
So these swipe files tended to work pretty good. So that's exciting. And then there are a couple different styles here. Like if you're more funny or silly, we have an option for that. Now with the actual form, Google form, unfortunately, there's not an easy way to just make a copy. Like sometimes you can do that with Google Docs. So you'll have to create one yourself. And so use our form that's at gymwright.com/survey as a template. And if you don't know how to use Google Forms, go to the network, which we'll put all these links in the show notes and in the comments here after the show here, but just search the group for #MarketingMonday. And I have 2 pretty simple tutorials on how to do these things. So Yeah, basically they just fill out the survey, and then you get all the information that you need to put together a series of really, really great testimonials. And you'll also get the information you need to put together a story about the testimonial. So in addition to that, I'm trying to think, there were a bunch of other things in here as well, but we ask some qualifying questions as well on like how they feel their experience is going, if there's anything they'd like to change. And so some of these gym owners were finding that there were problems arising in the gym that they didn't even know were there. So
Right.
this is also a great way to do a bit of crisis control.
100%, right? So we're putting together a simple survey, which, by the way, do you happen to have any of those questions handy to kind of like that we can read off to people who are maybe just listening to this via podcast only? Kind of wet their whistle a little bit with what kind of thing we might be asking. But while you're doing that, we're putting a simple survey together. We're sending it out to our community, and we're trying to gather their stories, right? Their wins, but at the same time, we're asking some questions that are going to give us some insight and some transparency as to where they are today, versus what so many gym owners do, which is assume. They assume that because nothing's on fire at the moment, that everything's fine. And oftentimes, like you saw in the network with several people who put this out there, they were able to get a better pulse on what's really actually going through their members' minds at this point in time, rather than assuming or basing it off of the last person they talked to a year ago or 6 months ago, and be able to proactively address something at the same time. So not only were they able to extract awesome testimonials, but they were able to jump in now and gather the feedback and do something about it, which, by the way, you want to know the cardinal sin of surveys is put out a survey, ask for feedback, and then don't do anything with that feedback. Where people are like, oh, I said this. Oh, I said the same thing. They know that they told you the same thing, or that multiple people gave you feedback about something, that you received it because you asked for it, and then you don't do anything with it. So if you are going to be doing the survey, just understand that if you're going to gather some feedback and you do learn some things about things that you may want to improve or that your members would like to see improved, that you make sure you address that. Even if it's something that you say, hey, we got some really good feedback from you guys. We are going to be, we'll be rolling up our sleeves as usual to continue to improve your experience. Thank you so much. At very least, acknowledge that something was received and that we're going to be working on it, as well as then obviously starting to trickle that stuff out as you can. Not that you need to, jump to everything that they say. Hey, we wish we had, a 20,000 square foot facility with, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, I appreciate that, but that's not in the budget. But hey, we got a lot of feedback. We're going to continue to invest in our facility and make sure we have the cleanest, most beautiful thing with all the great equipment. Address it. So on that note, back to you.
Great. Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what do you do with people who have they have suggestions that don't make any sense? Then just address it. Make sure just everybody feels heard. That's a huge part of this.
I think that's really it, right? It's just letting them know that you heard it, and we heard that this, and we're going to provide that. You don't have to actually do the thing, because the reality is they don't understand what the business entails or how the business works or what kind of margins we're working with. They see someone who's got a thriving gym, or, hey, looks like you've got 100 people or so in here paying you what I pay at $150 a month. They do the basic math in their head and they think this guy's doing great. When in all reality, they don't understand what it costs to actually run a good facility. And, we're not working with super thick margins when we're small and just getting started. So we have to kind of meet them halfway and just acknowledge it. Take it, let them know that you heard it. And, just as long as you're constantly working on the business and making improvements, which is part of what we teach in our foundations program too, to make sure that they feel that value, that constant improvement, you don't actually have to do some of the crazy things that they're asking.
Perfect. Okay, so I have my survey in front of me here. I can go through a couple of questions.
Yes, please.
Let's see. So the way that the swipe files work, and I don't know if I explained this earlier, but swipe files are essentially just a marketing term for wording that you can use. Yeah, just you can steal our wording.
Yeah, documents with the text written for you that you can copy and paste.
Yes. So in the swipe file, it's positioned as, we want to know more about who you are, because this is important to our business. We can't be better if we don't know more about you. So that engages your members because they want to tell you about themselves, right? They know so much about you, likely, that they want to share a little bit about themselves. So first question is, in one sentence, describe yourself. So we're kind of getting that out of the way here. who are these people in a nutshell? How do they view themselves? Which is pretty invaluable information to know about your gym members anyway.
100%.
Secondly, why do you come to CrossFit XYZ versus other gyms in the area? What does it do for you? So in this, we got a lot of really interesting answers about people who had been to competing gyms, and why they left them, or what fitness kind of regimen they were doing before and why they love yours now. And with that, this doesn't have to necessarily be a part of your testimonial, but it'll help you craft your story on your website or on your social media. You realize, like, instead of just saying, we're great at community, you can really nail down what that differentiator is. Another one that's great for the testimonials is, how is your life better thanks to CrossFit XYZ? What made you decide that this would be a good decision to become a member? And I mean, there are a ton of questions here. I don't want to go through all of them, but the flow here is something called like a hero's journey kind of marketing strategy, where you're taking them down their path of like becoming their own hero, because most of them are probably finding themselves at a point where they're at their most fit, most happy. If they're coming in consistently and they're really vibing with the community, they're like seeing themselves as their best version of themselves, based on their whole life. And so you can take them from, what challenge were you experiencing? Were there any issues? Like, what was your biggest reason for not wanting to come? And what was your aha moment for doing it? And I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, but we're also offering you guys a like pre-designed testimonial cards. So these are basically like after you've collected all of your testimonials from this form, you can put it into this template that we're going to give you. It's made on Google Slides, so it's a totally free program. It's really easy to get. All you need to do is go to gymwright.com/cards, CARDS. Again, I'll put that link in there. And it's a view only, so we don't want people messing with the templates, So all you need to do is go to File, make a copy, and then you'll save yourself an editable copy. Mm-hmm. And basically in that, you can put all these testimonials in there. And then below, make sure you expand the notes section. Again, the tutorials are in the network where I show you how to do this. But I write out a little story for each testimonial based on how that person answered all the other questions in the survey. So an example would be like Jane says something like CrossFit XYZ is the best place on earth. You definitely have to go there. It'll change your life, right? So you use that as the photo in Facebook, let's say, or Instagram. But then you have that space to be able to write something, which we always suggest you do. So you could say something like, Jane came to us 6 months after having her first baby. She was concerned about doing CrossFit because she felt like she was so weak and so out of shape. But she conquered her fear and trusted in our coaches. And today she's totally rocking it. She did her first pull-up in like 9 years, and she's a totally valued member of our family. Go Jane. So all that information in there are taken from little answers from that survey. So it's super easy for you to just copy and paste all that into, basically a done-for-you testimonial campaign.
So incredibly valuable. This is, if you're looking for like, what kind of content should I be posting and how do I do it? Like, just do this exercise with the survey, get a bunch of feedback, and then put one out every week or one or two out every week in rotation. And I mean, just following what you did with the quote card. So having that graphic template to be able to create something that looks good, makes them, highlights what they say, puts it out in front of, you're putting this out in front of everyone, your audience, your members included, by the way. Make sure you tag Jane in the post. And then the guidance you gave about using the rest of the copy and the info that you gathered to craft the story to support the graphic underneath it. I mean, that's some pretty high level stuff. So Jess, thank you so much for sharing that.
I was so excited that it worked so well. You know how it works with marketing. Sometimes things work and sometimes things don't. And it was exciting doing this experiment with all those gym owners that trusted, hey, I'm just going to try this. And we saw really fun results, and the members seemed to really like it too. So after this, I'm going to put together another Marketing Monday series and see what else we can come up with.
Awesome, Jess. All right, anything else, any other tips or anything you want to pass along for those watching or listening today on implementing this or getting the most out of this?
Are you asking me for my one piece of advice?
No, not that. But if you have anything else you want to add to that. No, okay, cool. All right, so as you know, what's that?
Simple and powerful. Like a marketing campaign doesn't need to take that much time and effort. Like we don't want you to reinvent the wheel all the time. So me explaining this in 20 minutes, like I feel like that's enough.
Awesome. Okay. Well, then, as you know, the question I like to ask everyone on this show, Jessica, in one sentence, if you could give one piece of advice to a gym owner, what would it be?
Okay, so this is kind of unrelated, but I think that you guys should attend the Iron and Mortar Summit. It's this event that's going to be held in Portland in June. Marcus and I are going. This is going to be the gym owner event of the year. And I think my advice is like, find your community. You know, with all this stuff going on with CrossFit HQ, it's just a great reminder that we're all in this together. And I think the more time we spend face to face and like not behind screens and like, or like by yourself at the gym, would be better utilized like creating a legit network of motivated, like-minded gym owners on a mission to create a more fit and healthy world. I just think, yeah, we just need to meet in person and start creating some like really legit connections.
You're just trying to recruit more. You're just trying to get more of our friends to come to this thing because you want to hang out. I don't blame you. I'm kind of guilty for the same thing. Dude, we've got like all of our friends are already going. This is awesome. So yes. Okay. I'll second that. It's a really cool event. Check it out. We're going as, by the way, just as attendees, we're going to go check this out because we're legitimately interested in what's happening with this thing. Jessica, thank you so very much for being on today and putting this thing together and being willing to come, you know, on stage with us here and share this with our audience.
Well, thank you for letting me out of the basement and having something to say.
Awesome. I want to thank all of you motivated gym owners out there for joining us today as well. Also, thanks again to our sponsor, SiteRight.io. Upgrade your online presence today. Visit SiteRight.io to learn more and be sure to join us in the network, which is our private Facebook group. It's totally free, where you're going to be around almost 2,000 other like-minded gym owners where we share the best tips and tactics. And we've got a weekly live Q&A where we answer your questions for you. There's a lot going on in there, including Jessica's famous Marketing Monday. Be sure to go in there, check that out. And also it is a membership that pays because as a member, you receive 25% off any SiteRight.io plan if you sign up before October 1st, 2019. There is no excuse not to upgrade your online footprint with that kind of deal. So be sure to head over to check them out. That's it for today. Now get out there and build something that matters. We'll see you guys all again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.